not a good sound. That's not good.
Looks like it could be a winner. We might have ourselves a winner right here.
They declined my other offer.
That one also just got declined. I'm gonna have to walk away from this one. So I bid on a Chevy Suburban, Freightliner Cascadia, Kenworth T660, International 4300, Harley Davidson, Cricket Trek trailer, and then that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my version of paradise.
Today we find Dave Sparks, a seasoned veteran in recovery, aviation, and believe it or not, negotiations. You see, Dave has many hobbies and skills, one being buying and selling vehicles. So lucky for you, he's going to take you through his process of flipping vehicles through the auto auction. Will he come out on top or end up in the red?
We're here at the auto auction, and this place holds a very, very special spot in my heart. This is pretty much how I built my business. This is how I got my start. This is where I made my first couple of bucks. And for those of you who know my story, you know that I didn't come from money. Like, I came from no money at all. My parents gave me nothing. They did their best, but my dad passed away, when I was 21, and I was left kind of with, my family, my mom to take care of. I have just been grinding away ever since, and part of that process was basically learning how to buy and sell stuff and make money on it. So what I did is I went out and got a dealership license, which at the time was a pretty hard thing to do because you had to have money, you had to have all these different things that I didn't have. And I built my dealership, and I built my dealership based off of a principle that I learned from a good friend of mine named Rich Eggett, who happens to be the owner of Rockwell Watches. Rich is like a mentor to me. He's a great friend, just a good dude. I worked for him when I was 18, and one thing that he taught me that stuck with me is there's a but for every seat. I go after vehicles that the other buyers don't go after, because on this side of the auction over here, you see a bunch of brand new, late model, low mile. These are lease returns, dealer trade-ins. This is the stuff that most dealers come to the auction to try to buy, because this is something they can buy. It's turnkey. They detail it, put it on their lot, and they make anywhere between $500 to $2,500 per vehicle, in profit. Now, that is for big dealerships who have a good program where they can make money on financing, they can make money on warranty, they make a bunch of other money, so they don't have to make as much money on the actual sale of the vehicle. Since I started with no money, I had to learn how to buy stuff that was cheap and make as much money as I could on each vehicle. So my goal was always to try to double my money, but the only way you can do that is by bidding on something that other people either don't want, don't understand, or are scared of. And believe it or not, there's a lot of that. And now I don't buy wrecked cars as much as I used to, just because there's already a market for salvage and rebuilt cars, and it's kind of hard to make money. And honestly, it's a lot of headache because people buy a newly rebuilt car from you and they expect it to be new, but it was wrecked and it's just never perfect. So we kind of shied away from buying the heavily wrecked stuff and instead started to focus on buying.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
If you're anything like me, which I know a lot of you guys are, you probably use your truck as a mobile office. Part of using my truck as an office means that I have to either remember to bring my Starlink with me. The last option is using public Wi-Fi, which is what I'm doing right now. And using public Wi-Fi comes with a lot of risks, which is why I want to tell you about the sponsor of today's video. So listen up, which is Surfshark VPN. A VPN is critical because it basically protects your private information online. So it basically filters out and stops all the bad guys and all the bad stuff that's floating around on public Wi-Fi, and doesn't reveal any of my private information to them, which is critical to avoid identity theft and hackers and all the other weird stuff that's going on the internet these days. Whether it's on your phone or your computer, there's a little switch, you toggle it on, and boom, I'm like a ghost on the internet. If you turn it on, it gets rid of the price discrimination, because certain websites and vendors will charge you different amounts of money depending on the location where you're browsing from. So you can turn it off. Even better, you can actually choose a location anywhere in the world. In fact, a lot of people do this on Netflix and the streaming services where certain shows aren't available here in the US. I'll click on it and say, no, I'm actually in Germany, and boom, it'll let me watch shows that are only available in that part of the world. It really is pretty fantastic, guys. Surfshark has some other benefits, like it has 3,200 different servers available in 100 different countries. You can use unlimited devices under one account, so you can protect your whole home. The customer support is just phenomenal. 24/7 customer support. You got a problem, boom, somebody's there to answer it for you. Surfshark VPN, well, they love us, which means they love you, so they're gonna hook you up. If you click the link in my description below or go to surfshark.com/Sparks and use the code SPARKS, they're gonna give you 4 extra months of the VPN for free. Like, you're just gonna get it for free, 4 extra months. So don't wait, get protection now, get yourself covered. Started to focus on buying that stuff right there. So the purpose of today's video is to teach you exactly what I've done over the years and what I continue to do as a solid side hustle now, which used to be my primary, source of income in my whole business. This is how Diesel Brothers got started. We were literally buying beat up junk or just weird random vehicles, bringing them to the shop, cleaning them up, and finding a buyer for them. And let me tell you something. On that side of the lot, where the big dealers are making a couple $1,000 per vehicle, which is usually on the high end, on this side of the lot, I can pay 3 grand for something and sometimes sell it for 10, 15, 20, 30 grand. I used to buy like 5 or 6 vehicles a week and just turn through those, but our business model changed a little bit. Honestly, it changed because the economy changed. 2016, the car market started to go like this, and it continued to go like this into COVID. 21, 22, 23, prices were just climbing because supply chain was, rough. Our country is in a state of like hyperinflation. The economy is not doing great. Interest rates are way up. A lot of people are losing their jobs. And what that means is there's a lot of opportunity, because when banks loan money on a vehicle and the customer can't pay, that's when the bank comes in and repos the vehicle. So I've always loved repos, but repo vehicles and some of these, special needs vehicles usually have some sort of issue or quirk or something that needs to be worked out. And that's why I originally built my shop in the first place. Now, the way the auction works is there's a thing called basically like a pure sale, like true sale, meaning whatever the highest bid is, that vehicle sells. There's no reserve. And then there's some vehicles that have reserve amounts put on them. So what that means is if the bank is selling this Toyota right here, so let's say this vehicle is worth 20 grand and the bank brought it back and they're like, oh, we got to get $7,500 out of it. So you jump online and start bidding. Since it's kind of a special vehicle that has some quirks and problems, people aren't going to pay a lot of money for it. They don't want a project. They want turnkey, easy to sell vehicles. That's not what I want. I want something that I got to put a little bit of a sweat equity into. So let's say this vehicle, the bank's reserve is $7,500, and I'm bidding, and the bid only goes up to $3,500. Well, I'm way below the bank's, set amount. So what happens is they do what's called an if sale. And now the if sale is basically conditional based upon whether or not the bank is willing to accept your offer. The bank will do one of two things. They'll either just say no, and then they'll run it through the sale the next week and won't even try to counter, or 2, they will counter offer and they'll try to meet you somewhere in the middle. They could call back and say, hey, you can have it for $5,500. That's the counter offer. And then I come here and search, check it out and figure out where I want to be. I would say more often than not, I end up going through and purchasing whatever the bank counter offers. So I bid on a 2009 Chevy Suburban. I bid on a 2015 Freightliner Cascadia. I bid on a 2018 Kenworth T660. I bid on a 2009 International 4300. I bid on a 2022 Ford F550. And then I bid on a 2020 Harley Davidson. I bid on a 2019 Taxa Cricket Trek trailer. I bid on, and that's it. So 7 vehicles total is what I was bidding on today. 4 of the offers were just accepted, done deal, sold, it's mine. 3 of the offers we're still waiting to hear back from to find out what the bank wants or what they're going to be willing to sell it for. The sales here at Manheim, Utah are every Wednesday. So I would usually come either Monday or Tuesday and walk through, check them out, start them, check the oil, just kind of do like a quick pre-purchase inspection to get an idea of what the vehicle was. Manheim usually goes through and they do what's called a condition report. So they'll go through and inspect the whole vehicle for you, and you'll get a whole condition report online that says, here's the damage, here's the scratches, here's the broken glass, it runs, it doesn't run, it has a title, it doesn't have a title. All these different things are usually disclosed. So today I basically just jumped online since I wasn't planning on bidding on some stuff until I saw a truck pop up at the last minute. That's usually how it works. I'll see one vehicle pop up on the auction list. I'm like, ooh, I want that. And then as I get on there and if I'm going through the trouble of going to the auction, I'll usually find a couple other things that I want to bid on. Now I got to tell you this is a very important thing that you need to understand. I kind of just wrote the auction off for the past several years because I try, and all the stuff that I would normally bid on would end up selling for like 20 to 50% more than what I felt it was worth. But now that the economy has changed and slowed down, there's deals at the auction again. And this is a very important thing for you guys to remember, because even though you have to be a dealer to be able to purchase from these, Manheim and dealer only auctions, you can still go get a dealer's license or work through a friend who has one or whatever you want to do and get set up to buy here. And I'm going to show you exactly why that's a good thing for you to be working on. My friends, the deals are back. And it's something that I'm going to start spending a little bit more time doing because, to be honest with you, I love it. I love coming back here and sorting through stuff, and it's kind of like gambling for me. I don't gamble. I don't really go play poker or any of those games. I don't bet on sports, but instead, I bet on vehicles. This car right here was most likely a rental car that was involved in a fender bender. right here on the window. This is, you don't usually see this kind of stuff. It says, do not start or drive, bad trans, it sprays fluid. So it gives you an idea of some of the issues that you've got. But the reason why I love this area is because there's such a diverse variety of different vehicles and equipment. That stuff sells for much cheaper. And the reason why I like that is because there's probably 100 Suburbans for sale on the internet here in the local classifieds right now, but there's probably only 1 or 2 boats of that make and model or of that RV. So I try to buy stuff that there's not very much for sale of online, on the internet and the local classifieds, because that means that I can kind of control the market and control the price because I'm the only one that has it, or I'm one of 3 people that has that vehicle for sale in the state. The type of stuff that I'm always looking for: dump trucks, old railroad equipment. That right there, big money maker. And you're like, well, dude, it's an old beat up dump truck. It's been wrecked. It's still got, all the railroad stickers on it. That's not a turnkey, ready to work truck. And you're right. But what a lot of people don't understand is I can buy this truck, get a hood for 1,500 bucks, paint the whole truck for 3 or 4 grand. So this is a 2007 Sterling. I could probably buy it for about 10 grand. And I'll bet you this truck right now on the local classified site sells for 25, 30. So there's a good $10,000 to $20,000 that could be made right here. So this type of stuff is what I really, really like, because brand new, that truck was easily probably $250,000. So we've got a list of vehicles, and the first step is coming and finding where they're at. So we're looking for a Freightliner, which is this guy right here. This was an easy find because we're already over here. It's a 2015 Freightliner Cascadia, and I got it for $8,500. Since it's a heavy truck and this auction doesn't specialize in working on heavy trucks, they don't know much about it. So on the listing, it said that they couldn't get the engine size. They couldn't figure out what the engine size was. And the reason for that is they couldn't open the hood. Somebody just didn't take the time to do it or didn't know how to do it. For whatever reason, they just don't fuss around with this stuff as much, which I love because it's a big question mark when it sells. And a lot of people, when they're bidding online or in person, they're like, oh, I don't know anything about that. And the auction, doesn't have any sort of guarantees because it's being sold as is. So a lot of people pass on it, which means I can be the one that picks it up because I understand this stuff much better than others. The auctioneer started the bidding at 30. He's like 30 grand, 30 grand, 30 grand, and nobody bid. 25, 25, 20, 20, 15, 15, 10 grand, 10 grand, nobody's bidding. And you just sit there and you wait for the auction to continue to lower the price, right? The auctioneer finally got down to like 5 grand. He's like, hey, 5 grand starting bid. And I was like, all right, that sounds about right. So I bid. There was maybe one or two other people online bidding, and the bid ended up stalling out at about $8,500. And the auctioneer was like, going once, going twice, boom, sold. $8,500 for a 2015 Freightliner Cascadia, which is actually a pretty solid truck. Now, what we don't know about this truck is, does it run and what are the miles on it? Since the auction never was able to get any power to the dash, that means they don't have any sort of idea, what the actual mileage is. So I'm taking a big risk. I could have bought a truck that has a bad motor, bad trans, bad something. This is kind of where my blind confidence comes into play, because I'll take this truck, throw some batteries in it, and in my head, this thing's gonna start. It's gonna run, it's gonna drive, and I'm gonna be able to drive it back to my shop after we get it, started with new batteries. Vehicle number 2. All right, so this one, oh man, I just got the response. My bid on this thing was so low, like ridiculously low, like $1,200 for a complete service truck. Unfortunately, that was so low that the seller was just like, no, we're not even gonna try to counter, because I'm guessing their reserve is probably like 20 grand or more. I'm gonna have to walk away from this one, but I'm not done with this one yet. I'll probably watch this one next week, because if it doesn't sell today, they're gonna run it through the sale again next week, and they're gonna continue to run it until it sells. And this is the type of truck that I literally started my business with. So if you go buy this crane and service body and air compressor combo right now, this thing's gonna be every bit of $150,000, $200,000 plus the truck. So you're looking at a truck that was probably 250 grand new, and I bid literally $1,200. So I could take this truck and sell just parts off of it tomorrow and probably recoup about 20 grand, or I could take this truck, bring it back to the shop, go through it, figure out why it's not running, because it was listed as not running, and I could fix it and sell this truck for $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, because service trucks are, they're very popular items. There's a camp trailer, there's a Harley. Oh man, they declined my other offer. Well, I'll show you. All right, so the other item is this 2018 Kenworth T680. This is kind of an over-the-road truck. It's not a heavy haul off-road truck like the trucks that we usually are used to. I bid $13,000 on this truck and only has 600,000 miles. It's got a 13-speed transmission. It's late model, good condition, and I would have been happy to pay 13 grand. But that must have been so much lower than their reserve price that they just said, forget it, we'll run it again. So I'm gonna keep my eye on this one for next week's sale. We've got a 2022 Ford F550, which that one also just got declined. So 3 out of my 7 offers so far haven't even been countered. They've just been declined. I really, really want to see if this Freightliner is going to run, because if it does, it's a great deal. All right, Big Ron rolled up with 4 brand new batteries, which is what we're going to throw right here in the Freightliner. I've got 4 vehicles that the sale went through. They accepted the offers and done deal. And the main one that I'm focused on right now is this Freightliner, because this is a great truck and we're gonna toss some batteries in it and see if it starts. All right, we got the batteries in. Now is the moment of truth. 933,000 miles. Not bad, little high. Got power. Come on, baby. That's not a good sound. Sounded like it had a miss or something, or like a bad cylinder when I was cranking on it, but it actually sounds pretty good. It's got good oil pressure. But we're gonna let it build air here for a second and then see what happens. Sounds decent. Sounds pretty good. I just checked the motor to pull the oil cap to see if there's any blow-by, which basically means if you have blow-by, the piston rings are usually shot and the compression from the cylinders is getting into the crankcase and coming out the oil cap. I didn't see any, but it's also not hot yet. So we're gonna let it run for a second, build some air pressure, and see what happens. Clutch feels good, transmission feels good, motor's running good, no check engine lights. We might have ourselves a winner right here. All right, well, I'm feeling pretty good about that purchase so far. It runs and drives just about perfect. I think there's some money to be made on that one, so feeling good. Let's go in and find the Harley, the camp trailer, and the Suburban. So this Harley, $3,500 was the bid, plus about $135 in auction fees. So $36.35 is the balance due. I will tell you before I get to that, I was this close to buying this KTM. This is called the Duke. It's a 790cc, kind of a hybrid bike. It's made for obviously cruising around the streets, but it's also kind of adventure bike style, so you wouldn't be afraid to take it off roads. It's got good suspension travel. I should have bought this thing. I think it sold for like 4,500 bucks. This just looks like a fun bike to ride. Look at that. That's not good. That's why it went cheap. So I didn't have a chance to come look at this bike before the auction, right? So somebody who did obviously came through and started it, and they heard that it's got some engine problems, and so that's why the price was so low. I'm really glad I didn't jump on there and just start blindly bidding, because there was nothing on the auction report that said that it has, you know, engine issues, because they just sold it as is. And when they sell something as is, they basically just say, anything could be wrong with it, it's your problem. Now, when they sell something with a green light or a guarantee, that means they've gone through it mechanically and they're able to confirm and verify that it's good. So if this had a green light guarantee when I bought it, then I'd come here, start it up, I hear a rod knock and say, nope, that's got issues. I'd go in and talk to the auction and say, look, this bike's got this, that, the other thing. So then they would run it through their inspection process again, and then they put it into what's called arbitration. Arbitration basically means you bought something that had problems that you weren't expecting. The auction represented that it didn't have problems. Basically what would happen is they'd pull it in, realize that it has a problem, and they'd say, okay, you can either A, not buy it, it just will unwind the sale, you're not obligated to buy it, because that's one thing you need to know. When you make a bid at this auction, there's no change in your mind. Like, you're committed to it no matter what. If you try to back out of a sale, they can kick you out of the auction, they can charge you big fines. You bid, you gotta be ready to buy. So I'm glad I didn't buy that without checking it out. But I did buy this without checking it out. So the Harley has a dead battery, which is pretty common. So we're gonna try an old school trick and try to bump start this bad boy. Nate and John are gonna give me a push. And I'm gonna put it in gear and see what happens. Now we've got the Suburban and the Taxa Cricket trailer. Let's go find those. All right, it looks like our next two vehicles are up here. Yep, that's our guy. So this one, the reason why I bought this is because obviously it's pretty clean for being a 2009. This is the type of vehicle where you buy it and you plan on maybe making just a couple grand for a quick flip. Looks like they had it listed for sale for 13 grand. I paid 3,500 bucks for it, so got about a $10,000 discount. Even if it runs at all, you know, $7,000, $8,000 quick sale. So there could be 3 or 4 grand to be made. So let's hope that this bad boy starts. Sounds great. Made me nervous. A lot of times you forget to look whether the vehicle's 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive when you're watching it online. There's been not so many times, but there's been a handful of times where I got to the auction, I'm so excited about a vehicle, and I look, and there's no 4-wheel drive switch, which sucks here in Utah. 2-wheel drive vehicles like SUVs and trucks are worth nothing in Utah because of the winters that we get. No check engine lights, looks like it could be a winner. So right now, where we're at is Ron is going to grab a ramp to load up the Harley. John is gonna drive this back. I'm gonna drive the semi back, and Nader is gonna drive my Cybertruck with the trailer, which I believe the trailer should be right over here somewhere. Next vehicle, right there, the Cricket. Now this one, I'm actually kind of excited about because it's just a goofy looking trailer. It's very lightweight, off-road capable, kind of pop-up trailer designed for just very basic camping. Boom, there we go. So it's about as basic as a camp trailer gets. It's got, I believe,
It smells like one of those tents.
it does smell just like a tent. There we go. Yeah, this is cool. Before I bid on it, I was doing a little bit of research online, and it looks like they sell for about 30 to 40 grand new, and used, the cheapest one I saw was I think 19, and that was an older one. This is a 2019 that doesn't look like it has very much use on it, and I paid 7 grand. So seems like a fair deal. Little trailers like this are pretty popular because people who want to get into camping and RVing but don't want to go buy a new, you know, $200,000 RV, they can start with something like this, and you know, sometimes less is more. Oh, interesting. So it's a stove sink combo all in one. You got bunk beds up here, which I don't think I'm ever gonna be able to sleep in one of those. Those are more for kids. So far I've got about 9 grand invested in the semi, 7 grand in this, 4 into the Suburban. Harley was 20 or 35. So I'm 23.5, just shy of $24,000 for the 4 vehicles that I bought. So I'm gonna hook up to this with the Cybertruck, and we'll just start hauling everything back to the shop.
It's stuck. It won't move. I'm literally stuck in the road. Oh no. I was at a red light and it just wouldn't go. That ain't right. Huh? Yeah, so I have the car in gear, like it's in drive, but it's just not a good purchase, Dave. Come on, man. You're better than this. It looks good, but it's not. Hey, man. I don't know. And it's not actually engaging with the gears. Oh yeah, it sounds weird. Dave. Oh, that stinks. Come on, Dave! But it's just, oh, there we go. We're super close to the shop. We're literally just 100 feet away. Nice. Now I gotta open the gate, because we have a gate at the shop, so crazy people can't come in, because that happens. Love that from me. Come on. Yes, there we go. Through the gate. I don't do cars, I do video. That's all I'm good for right now, at this stage of my life. All right, well, made it to the shop, so we're good. This thing's not really running right.
What do you mean?
I don't know if he made a good purchase.
Hey, hold on, before you start jumping to conclusions.
Either I'm just
down on you?
Yeah, either I'm a terrible driver or there's something wrong with it. I was putting it in drive and it just wouldn't go. It was like acting like it was in neutral.
So it sounds like you blew the transmission on the way back from the auction.
I blew the transmission.
Seems like I had a good transmission at the auction. Hey, this is part of the game. There's a reason why it sold so cheap. It might need a transmission. The nice thing is, transmission for this thing is like $1,000 maybe. So we still have a little bit of room in it, but that definitely eats into our margin. So everything else was way less likely to make it back here, and it made it back without a problem. We got the vehicles back from the auction, so now we're gonna line them up, figure out what they need, and start adding up the prices and figure out whether we're gonna make any money or whether this whole deal is gonna be a bust. I still feel pretty good about it. The semi ran phenomenally, so at least we got that. Trailer looks pretty good. The Harley and the Suburban, we'll find out. All right, let's start with vehicle number one that I purchased at the auction. The only thing we've done to this bike so far is we brought it back to the shop and we put a battery in it. That's it.
Oil. I don't think he checked any fluids.
So that is actually great. A little bit of, I mean, here's the thing, I'm optimistic about everything that I buy. I always just hope for the best, and usually it works out for me. You know, the power of positive thinking and manifesting usually brings good things into my life, but every once in a while, it also brings me some turds. So far, this bike's a winner. Bike's legit. Literally $3,500 for a 2020. Miles are a little bit high. It's got some dents and dings, but all pretty easy stuff. Okay guys, it has been a few weeks since I made my auction purchases. And like I said, we had to bring them back to the shop, go through them, figure out what was going on. And I've got some news for you. We sold some. You ready for this? I got a list right here. All right, starting with the Taxa Cricket trailer, little camp trailer. We paid $7 grand for that, and we sold it for $13,000 as is. Didn't have to do anything to it. It was like perfect. So we made $6 grand on that unit. Next item, Chevy Suburban. We paid about $4 grand for that. As you saw on the way back from the auction, transmission went out, which is very typical of an auction vehicle to do that. I think we were in it like $1,000 for the trans, another $500 or $600 for the install. I think $1,500, $1,600. We sold that thing for $8 grand. We made $2,300 on that. Next up, the Harley. We paid $3,500 for the Harley. As you saw, we brought it back here, got batteries, boom, fired right up, sold it as is for 10 grand. So we were into it 4, sold it for 10, made $6,000 on the Harley. That's legit. Oh, one other thing right here. So you remember when we were at the auction, right? And I said, here's a list of vehicles I bid on. And then I got an email saying that I did not get the international service truck that I really wanted, which was a bummer. Oh man. A couple days later, the auction called me back and said, hey, do you still want that? The bank or the leasing company, whoever it is willing to sell it to you. And I bought it, and you'll never guess what I paid for it. All right, fine, I'll tell you. It was like $4,800, which is fantastic. Like, best deal ever. So it's right here. We've done some work to it. We painted it. We sprayed some bed liner on it, went through, just kind of cleaning it up. And the reason why it's sitting right here is because we were fixing it to just kind of get it up listed for sale. And we ended up having a buyer reach out to us and ask if we had any service trucks, because we sell a lot of service trucks. And we said, yes, we do. He put a deposit on it. He's given us $65,000 for it. Now, with that money, we have to do some toolboxes, finish the paint, finish the bed liner, do a full inspection on it. So we'll be into it 11, 12 grand. And the buyer is happy to pay 60 grand because he couldn't find anything anywhere else for even remotely that close. Now I'll tell you one of the reasons why. I think a lot of people didn't know this at the auction, but it has a very nice very low hour Miller Trailblazer 302 welder in there. Now it's not the air pack unit that has the air compressor, but still that welder, I think new, they're like 15, 20 grand. Used with low hours, you're still 10 grand or more. That right there was worth more, double what we paid for the truck. So it was a serious home run. Really excited about that one. This is the ultimate money maker. I'm gonna say that we still probably have to spend a little bit more money on it. Let's say we're into it 15, 20 grand. We're still gonna make 35, 40 grand on that thing, like all day long. Like, it's the best deal ever. Now the final piece I wanna show you is, you remember how at the auction, and just kind of anytime I buy anything, I'm like, all right, the plan is to buy this and sell it, and then I usually end up keeping stuff, and then I get on the camera and I'm like, oh, I don't want to keep everything, but then I keep stuff. Well, I kept one thing so far. I'm not keeping it forever, but this Freightliner that I thought had a misfire and a bad motor ended up being a really killer truck. And at the same time we got this running, my cab over went in for some maintenance. Had an oil leak and some other stuff we had to take care of, so we were down a truck. So we were like, you know what, let's just run the Freightliner while we're fixing the cab over. So we got a new grill for it. We put wheels and tires on it, polished the wheels, put new tires on it, just basically kind of like spruced it up. It's not perfect yet, it still needs to be detailed and paint touched up and stuff, but we have already used it and put over 5,000 miles on it. Now, we paid 9 grand, about 9 grand. I think we're in at about 2 grand more just to kind of get it up and where it needed to be, because we obviously had to do batteries too. So we're in this thing about 11 grand. Each mile a truck drives for us is worth about $1. Because right now, if we pay somebody else to haul loads, we're anywhere between $4 a mile for the stuff that we haul, all the way up to like $10 a mile for some of the crazy specialty loads. Conservatively speaking, if it's worth $1 a mile to me, we've already put, I think it's just shy of 6,000 miles on it. So it's already made me $6,000. We have noticed that there's a bunch of these on the market, and since there's so many of them, the price stays pretty low. But we know that we can pretty much sell this thing like right now for about 15 grand. So there's another $10,000 to be made on this one. But the convenience factor of being able to have it, like we already have it hooked up to a dry van, and we've been hauling stuff around here locally. It's an awesome truck. It is working perfectly for the type of work that we needed it to kind of fill in for. So all in, guys, we did well. So before we add in the international, we're at 19 grand. We add the international, we're at $59,300 in profit on, I mean, we spent about right around 20 grand on all these vehicles. Guys, it's a home run, it's a no-brainer, but it's not normal. This sort of stuff, you gotta have the balls to be able to bid on the weird stuff. You gotta have the balls to bid on something that might have a bad motor and just know that you're gonna be stuck with it. You gotta be willing to do the work. Every single one of these vehicles we brought back needed like some TLC, like some hands-on. Some needed much more than others, but doing that work pays off. If I can make, you know, close to $60,000 on 6 vehicles that I spent, you know, around $20,000 on, that's a great business model. That has been my business model for years. That's how we've done the dealership buying and selling stuff. We used to do a lot more of it. We used to buy like 6 vehicles a week. We don't have as much time to do it, so this was just kind of like seeing if I still had it, see if I still had the magic touch, and based on the numbers, it looks good. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. I know I did. I'm continuing to like understand what the market's doing and where things are at and what's happening, but I couldn't be happier with how this turned out, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. So with that said, we're gonna work on getting these last 2 vehicles. I don't even know if I want to sell the Freightliner, to be honest with you. I'm kind of enjoying having it around because it's just a great like loaner truck. But eventually we'll get rid of them, get the rest of our money out of this deal, and move on to the next one. We'll see you next time.